Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to another POV analysis. Today we're going to be looking at Maru once again. This is a game from the IM Katowice Global Finals. And honestly, this was one of the best games of the entire event. I'm not going to spoil too much before we get into it. But Maru is going to play some of his signature styles. And yeah, definitely some really back comeback mechanics involved. So Maru, no proxies or anything, nothing crazy. I feel like in general in this event we saw very little proxies from Maru. Normally, I would expect maybe a little bit more proxy Turax. And from Rayner's side, I think Reynor also honestly doesn't cheese a lot against Terran and usually plays macro, and that's what I'm expecting to see from him as well. One thing we did see a lot from Terrans this tournament is a lot of 2-base sullens and stuff, especially on Berlingrad, Curious Minds, a lot of the smaller maps. But that is not what Maru's going to go for this game. Small spoiler there. Anyway, he's just going to go for a normal barracks expand. Let's see if he goes for the SCV scout. Actually, I'm not gonna do that. SCV scouting is actually something I would do against Rayner. Doesn't mind his pull first now and then. He's gonna go with the Marine first as well, making me believe that he might go for the same mech opener that he was using throughout the entire event. If you guys haven't caught up on the other games, Maru definitely in every single TVZ series he played, he did his new mech opener. Basically always starting with the Marine first, a bit unorthodox compared to the Reaper first. But I think it makes sense. Though, if for you guys, I would definitely recommend to SCV Scout if you go for the Marine first. If you play this opener and your opponent happens to do pull for 6 links, not even an all-in, just a regular pull first with 6 links, you will probably die to it. So Maru here, knowing his opponent, knowing that he wouldn't go for a pull first, decided not to go for an SCV Scout. But yeah, for your own ladder games, make sure to mix in that SCV Scout at least 70% of the time, I would say. Also getting a second gas with this build as usual, so it means he's not going for a third CC. Not fast at least, of course. Rayner on the other hand going for a standard opener here. Third hatch going down. One overlord across the map. Actually pretty interesting overlord positioning here. I feel like... I mean, Berlingrad doesn't have a pillar where you can hide the overlord on it to the natural. You normally see them hide them here. I guess this is also a pretty common spot, but Rayner is going to go all the way below the main. And I think against Maru this actually makes a lot of sense, because Maru does like to play mech, which means he likes to open with battle cruisers. Which means the tech you're scouting for is most likely going to be behind the mineral line somewhere. Could also be behind the natural mineral line, I guess, but less common. At the same time, you can see Maru here pulling up his Marines, going for his single Helene production. Starport almost finished. Probably going to see a fusion core after that as well. That's usually how he's been playing. And then once the attack gets going, I would love to see it from Maru's POV once again, see how he executes the attacks. I feel like it's always really beautiful to see that from Maru's POV. It's so clean. And what I love the most is that most Terrans, or most players in general, they tend to kind of spam a lot. And throughout the game, they keep a similar pace. But Maru doesn't really seem to waste his APM. But when he needs it, you can tell that he actually goes turbo mode. Like he activated his boost. And it's really awesome. I really saw it against Sarah when he... played him in the really long mech game on Hardwire. At some point, he just started going absolutely crazy on the APM. He's moving out with his 7 Marines now. Over is going to come into the main. Let's see how he's going to deal with that. Actually, he's going to make another Marine. I didn't actually know that he did this, but he's going to make another Marine from his barracks. Let me show this quickly. So you could make an add-on from this normally, but because he wants something to kill Overlord, he's actually going to go for that Marine. Now you see Maru obviously playing very fast. He's going to take down his Overlord with his 7 Marine drop. 4 Hellions are on the move out as well. Note that he started his 3rd CC before the Battlecruiser. If you look at his money, he could have started the BC. But he is going to make that 3rd CC fast instead. Overlord's going down to 1 Marine at the same time. Obviously that doesn't require any attention. So Maru is doing this with pretty much 2 hotkeys. Not sure which one he uses. Probably 1 and 2, to be honest. Starts a BC in the background. Tried to snap another Overlord there, but Rayner is on point so far. Now, so far this looks relatively easy to defend for Rayner, but keep in mind, throughout all the Overlords he's using, the creep he's losing, he is starting to fall down behind a little bit in this game compared to normal. Doesn't have the same creep spread. Probably going to lose a second Overlord here. And Maru has all the map control. Now, one thing that I find interesting to note is that Maru actually did cut his Hellions for a bit to get all his stuff out, his 3rd CC, his Battlecruiser. And I think... he did start his Hellions before the gases, or maybe even after those as well. But this is a really cool move that Maru has been doing, is that normally 7 Marines and 4 Hellions do not kill Queens, right? But since everyone is aware that Maru likes to multitask and go around, drop into the main, Hellions in the natural, they split their units, and that's when Maru strikes and, you know, snags a queen at the front, basically. Okay, so since that attack is pretty much over, we can take a look back at the build order. You can see 2 factories going down. I think he's also probably... Now, this map is a bit smaller, but I think Maru will still add 2 armories before the second BC. That's how he usually does it. If he wouldn't do it, it would definitely be a map-related thing. Now the battle cruiser is going in. Let's see how Maru is gonna multitask this. Battle cruiser is obviously the least APM intense harassment unit for Terran, pretty much. It doesn't require a lot of babysitting. As long as you move it in the right general direction, it's good enough. Now Maru saw fast roaches there. And his response should be to get 2 tech labs on those factories, get tanks going as fast as possible. Starts a very fast 5th and 6th gas, even before starting his tech labs. I always find these small details super interesting when I watch top players like Maru that really have their builds perfected. Like you see, he's starting his gases, his eBay, his walls before even thinking about getting tanks still. And even though sometimes it looks silly, it does create a different dynamic. Like when you have your buildings up, it's actually harder for Zerg to attack you at the same time. Now Rayner is actually moving across with roaches, I believe, so Maru's gonna dive in with the Hellions, but at the same time, it does leave me wondering how he is gonna defend that counter-attack. As you can see, he's scrabbling to defend. He drops... I'm gonna go off his POV to show this. He dropped his Marines in the choke here, so he can defend the Zerglings perfectly. SCVs are going back, and he's gonna take surprisingly little losses from this. So far, he lost 3 SCVs, but at the same time, he did kill 12 drones. Which honestly evens it out pretty much for a TVZ. Obviously, as a Terran, you do want to do damage against Zerg. Zerg does not need to find damage on the other side. Rayner did find a little bit of damage, but 12 against 3. I would honestly call that pretty even. Now... 2 tanks are coming out, upgrades are started, depots here. One thing that does surprise me a little bit is that he makes depots like this randomly. And what I mean by that is that on small maps especially, and when you play mech in general, you do tend to get hit by hard timing attacks. So I always feel like making your depots like here, for example, to already start preparing for that wall is a really good move. Maru seems to not care about that, so that's very interesting. And just look at the... I always find it so crazy to see that Maru, he's so confident he can defend anything that he constantly skips unit production to make buildings. He just started his 4th CC on 2 siege tanks before starting his 3rd and 4th. To me, that is actually insane. You can see he's making 2 turrets now. If you're wondering what that's for, that is for corruptors. You do not want corruptors to be able to chase your BCs all the way home. You want at least there to be some turrets to protect your battle cruisers, basically. Maru sacrificing his Hellions. As the Zergs like to say, when you play mech against Zerg, you're pretty much playing Hot Wheels for the entire game. And what this means is that Hellions are not that good to have in your end army composition. So if you don't know what to do with mech, you right-click some Hellions in your opponent's base. Because with mech you have, you have too many minerals to spend. You can sack Hellions and it won't not be that bad. So you can basically play Hot Wheels for a while, while macroing at home. 50C going down as well, 2 extra factories. And so far, I would say Maru has been doing a good job. Like, I think he killed almost 30 workers. Or actually, 35 workers. I would definitely say that's a little more damage than you should take as Zerg, putting Maru slightly ahead. As you can see, 4th already done, upgrades almost done. 1-1 finishing in 10 seconds. And things are looking pretty good for Maru. Meanwhile, Zerg playing very standard here. He's going up to 81 drones, which means he won't be hitting any kind of timing. Look at all the right side, all the upgrades finishing at the same time. Yamato, 1-1. Zerg upgrades as well. Looks beautiful. When players are on point, stuff like that lines up just perfectly most of the time. And now you can see he is actually starting a bit of a wall here, right? There's like 2 turrets, 3 depots, few turrets and depot or a sensor tower here. One thing that does play into Maru's slightly greedy style a little bit is that this map has an insane choke for the 3rd base. Like, I also can't really imagine trying to roach all in through this choke. Like, you would have to kill the rocks first, come from every angle. But even then, this choke is also not that thick at the same time. Maru starting is 2-2. Maru, so far in this tournament, he has shown 2 different styles to play. His primary style seems to actually to go into Ghost. Pretty much draw the game out, win on efficiency, win the war of attrition, get enough bases, and dry the Zerg out. His second play style seems to be revolving around hitting a 2-2 timing, making a few Thors early. This is pretty much how you use battle cruisers, by the way. You go out, you use your Yamatos, you kill 3 queens or 3 corruptors, and you go back. Obviously, corruptors are insanely good against BCs, so you can't really stay. Corruptors also have a lot of base armor, which means that the BC auto attack virtually does no damage. And here we can see 2-2 is not even halfway and Maru's already on the Ghost transition. To me, this is kind of crazy. So far, what I thought his timing for the Ghost was that he usually started 3-3 and then went into the Ghost when he was saturated on 5 base. Now, this game he went so fast. Keep in mind, guys, it's only 10:30. He's basically on saturated 5 bases with 5 factories transitioning into Ghost. If you guys hit those kind of timings, if you are in this position in the game at 10:30, a big applause for you, to be honest. That's amazing. Now, a little bit of info, backstory info is that Rayner has a really cool build against mech that he prepared specifically for this tournament. And that's that he actually goes for Brute Lord timing. And it sounds a bit crazy because a lot of people think, there's Ghosts and there's Thors. Why would you even do that? Well, the thing is, Terrans do typically not make Thors that early. They always want to make tanks first to be safe against the Ground Army. Because even 8 tanks can easily be broken by Ravager Ling Bane. So, he has the walls up, everything. So what Reynor does is he gets Brute Lords way earlier than anyone else. Zergs don't typically play fast Brute Lords anymore, so he'll morph like, I would say, 8 or so. And hit really fast before there's Thors out and try to break a position. As you can see, Maru still playing Hot Wheels, nice and fun. This is honestly the best part about playing mech, by the way. Like with Bio, it feels like you're always babysitting your units and you don't want to lose any of them, not even one Marine drop. With mech, you're just, right-clicking your Hellions casually. If you lose them, who cares, It's honestly by far the best thing about playing mech. Look at the amount of upgrades Maru's getting as well, by the way. He's getting 3-3 pretty much. I imagine he will start his armor pretty soon. Servos, Cloak, 1-1. He's also making his signature one. He's actually getting a second Raven. I think that's actually a mistake. There's honestly no reason to get a second Raven. Raven spells are not particularly useful against Zerg at this point. You just want the detection against Burrowed Infestors, basically. And against Creep, of course. So here you see how many Brute Lords is this. He morphed 9 Brute Lords. Now, I really want to see this from Maru's PV. This is incredibly scary. Look at his armor he has, guys. He has 2 Yamatos available. Or maybe not even. Yeah, he doesn't even have Yamatos available. And there's no Thors here. And what is he going to be able to do against this? Honestly, not much. There are 5 Ghosts. Plus Ghosts against Brute Lords is relatively an even trade. And 5 against 9 is not quite going to cut it there for him. He's trying to get the Hellblaster tank to get the snipes off. But Rayner has a huge army. Keep in mind he has transfuses for the Brute Lords as well. And Maru is definitely struggling with his attack. Rayner has a fat bank behind this as well. Admittedly, he doesn't quite have an amazing tech. There's no bunch of Infestors out or anything. But Maru's biggest position in the game definitely getting broken there. And that's the strategy I was talking about. The level of preparation from these high-level players. Rayner going for the Brute Lord timing. Something Maru didn't expect at all and completely breaking him here. And at the same time, Rayner is obviously buzzing on his side of the map. He's going to be in at least 6 bases. Maru losing his Ghost there, I believe. That was actually all of his Ghost there to the Brute Lords. Like I said, Brute Lords are pretty decent against Ghost. Corruptors are harassing at the same time. If this was another Zerg, I think this may not have been that disastrous. With Rayner actually doing so much damage on multiple sides. He is probably going to end up losing those Queens. But honestly, the damage has been done at this point. And now if we look at Maru, what he's producing, he's pretty much producing pure Thor Ghost Hellbath, which I think is the exact units that he needs. At this point in the game, for Maru, he needs pure efficiency. He lost his base, which means he can't out-micro or out-macro Rayner anymore. At this point, he needs to win on efficiency. He needs to get an Omega army that will kill everything. But as you see, Maru is also being broken on the left side. I think that's even an orbital. Oh, that's a little bit too greedy by Maru. He has been pretty greedy the entire game, but this not being a planetary at least is really painful because now this entire position is dead. 30 SCVs going down. And now you're starting to wonder, like, Mark, uThermal, why was this game so amazing? Didn't Reynor just hit one brutal timing and it's gone? Well, let me tell you guys, small spoiler, this game goes on for at least 10 minutes more. I know, it's 200 against 140 supply, 3k against no money. But Maru actually manages to play this game for 10 minutes more. Now, he does have a really efficient army, but Bailings are so good against the Hellbats and the Ghosts. Really good decision there by Reynor to actually go into those Bailings, instead of like adding more Broodlords or anything like that. As you can see, all the Hellbats pretty much free. The Ghosts are going ham, but the Thor losses are very expensive as well. Those are very chunky, expensive boys right there. Meanwhile, Rayner still harassing. Obviously, 3 Corruptors should not be killing a command center. But it's still annoying. Especially, I think at Maru, honestly, this is really weird. Because usually, you always want to snipe everything you see that's valuable by Zerg. But here, I wouldn't even really want to use the snipes if I was Maru. I actually kind of would have liked it if Rayner baited the snipes. Because there are so few ghosts with no energy. That if he had even a few less snipes, that means Ravagers are suddenly really good again. Obviously, Ravagers being one of the most juicy targets you can have for Zerg. For Ghost, I mean. Because, yeah, they just one-shot them 100-100 with a snipe, just instantly gone. Now you see Maru actually making some more tanks. Obviously, you do need tanks. Before you saw he didn't have any, and then the Banelings went straight through. Now he has some tanks, so this fight should be a little bit more efficient for Maru right away. Keep look at the snipes on the Ravagers. That's so valuable. Pretty much 200-200 gone with the first 2 snipes. Yeah, that's amazing efficiency by Maru here. Really good composition. And honestly, a really good read on the game, because I would probably be kind of afraid there would be more Brute on the way. Maybe I'd start some more Thors. But if you made Thors there instead of tanks, he would have died already, I can tell you that. And Maru did somehow get back up to 66 SCVs. How many did he lose? Maru lost 42 SCVs, but he's still back up at 66, which honestly is not quite the economy you want to be at. I feel like usually you want to be about 80 SCVs, but 66, very respectable. At the same time, let's look how many bases Rayner has. Rayner has 7 bases. This one is not quite saturated yet, but it should be pretty soon when one of these bases runs dry. You see, he's going to keep going in. Let's see how Maru takes this attack. His army composition is still perfect for this. Hellbats for the Lynx, tanks for the Banelings, and the Ghost for everything else basically at this point. Which in this case is just Ravagers. And even though trading should be good for Rayner, these trades are actually starting to be a little bit insane for Maru. Like, keep in mind this is a small map. If these trades go on for like 5 more minutes, Rayner is actually going to run very low on money as well. Obviously, Maru does lose 23 SCVs, putting him in a rough spot, but he's going to keep making more. One thing I want to touch on real quick, by the way, is that most Terrans don't know you can do this, but you can actually make Hellbats straight from the factory, instead of making Hellions and then Hellbats. And it's actually a really cool move that he's making them half and half. Hellions where you could potentially do some counter damage with. Hellbats because you just need them against Lynx. Without Hellbats, Mech is just useless, honestly. You can't beat Lynx. In another matchup, you can't beat Zealot, stuff like that as well. You just need some of those boys. Now Maru making 4 SCVs at a time. I think he does have 5 command centers. Reynor gonna keep going in on this, because he feels like he's so close to killing. But yeah, like I said, these trades are just getting insane for Maru, though. The Ravagers are going down. And every time Reynor still has money left, but I feel like he does keep taking like 1k off his bank every time. And even at this point, like I told you guys, the game is going to go on for a while, but even here, 120 supply with 36 minerals in the bank, like really? Is this going to go on? Maru's so close to dying, he's still going to try to get his 5th base though. Obviously he needs to. Like Reynor has more bases, so he's going to, you know, he mines out faster because he has a lot of drones. But at the same time, he does have more places to mine from, and Maru doesn't. Especially with mules, you do tend to mine out at least your first 3 bases very fast. And I feel like this must be a weird game for Maru, because like 90% of his mech games, I feel like he just sits there and then he wins at some point. But Reynor actually with a really cool prepared strategy breaking him. And now this game might be a lot more awkward. Does still have a 1 Raven alive, which is very good. He doesn't really need it in this case. But it's nice to see that he still has it. Now he's going to start getting back into Thor production. Obviously, he must have like 8 or actually 11 siege tanks by now. Okay, that's a very impressive siege tank count. Honestly, I feel like there's rarely a situation where you want more than 10. Alright, let's see what the game state is. The entire map is covered in creep. There's 8 bases everywhere. But Maru is still sitting in his corner with an incredibly efficient army. Even has a sensor tower here as well. This sensor tower is super nicely placed, by the way, below the rocks. Let's see how this fight is gonna go. I think Maru just has too many siege tanks here for this to be broken. And the thing is, once the Banelings are gone, perfect retreat timing there by Reynor. Once the Banelings are gone, those ghosts could instantly one-shot 8 Ravagers. Which you do need to be very careful of. Obviously, I guess the Banelings ghosts need to run or they just die. If those ghosts in this game ever died, if Reynor ever had like 10 more Banelings to get on top of the ghost, it would have ended a while ago. But now with these ghosts, yeah, Maru is just gonna keep staying alive. And now he actually does have his 5th base saturated. And you would say, well, Reynor has way more bases. But if Maru starts getting this base, maybe he rests this base at some point. He could actually equalize the amount of bases they have. Keep in mind. And I think this is really the time when Reynor should be transitioning into something else. Like, I think the trades have been pretty good. But at the same time, they're too inefficient. I think the idea is good behind the trades I meant. But the actual efficiency is just not quite there. And if he went for Brutal Infestor at this point, he would have a good shot. Like, Brutal Infestor obviously very competitive with Thor Ghost. And he has way more money to do it. And even if he trades evenly with a Brutal Infestor army, which is pretty close to worst case, honestly, I don't think you can ever trade that bad with Brutal Infestor. As long as you get some fungals off, then it's already good enough. Like, if we look at the income, it's actually sick, by the way. It's been like this for like, what has it been, like 8 minutes at this point? 3.6, 1k against 1.6, 1k. And once again, Rayner attacking here. Look at the Ghost, taking all those Ravagers down in the back. Actually, one of the Baneling cancels all the snipes. That was really well done. Doesn't actually kill that many of the Ravagers. And Rayner's still going ham. So many Zerglings being produced. Here we go. Finally, some Ravagers going down. The Cloak finishing. Actually, Cloak finished a while ago. I think Maru maybe forgot he could have used that. Because I'm pretty sure he made that even when he got like 1-1 on the Ghost, right? I remember saying that. Together with Transformation Servos and all that. I do think it's hilarious he's in Orbital still, by the way. Like, literally his most important base in the game. Still in Orbital. Obviously, he flew that over from one of the spare Orbitals he had. Now, army supply is the same. Maru's army quality is actually better. Maru's economy is in shambles. This is Maru's last army. Let's see how he's going to deal with it. Fight seems to start pretty well for Rayner, but it is a lot of Banelings crashing into Thors and stuff. And I imagine Maru is going to go straight to the middle. Normally as a Terran you never want to do this, but this is really, you know, this is not the kind of game when you want to be slow and kill the last base they have because your own economy is good. No, Maru needs to kill him and wants to kill him. Now Reynor obviously still has 2k, 1k in the bank. It is starting to get a little bit dry, but once again he is on 100 drones and he has 8 bases. As you can see, the economy is insane. 4.2k minerals there for Reynor. He can do this all day, but still, there's a death army on his doorstep. And if Maru were to win this game, honestly, that would, in my opinion, be the comeback of the century. Already an amazing hold by Maru. Why on earth is he alive in this game? Now, Reynor is going in. He does have some SCVs. The Ghosts are very weak. He does have Cloak, though. Cloak with some splits. The Overseers are lagging behind. And actually, Maru is going to take this fight as well. Just because of that Cloak, the Overseers were too far behind to actually catch the Ghost. And there is still 3 Thors alive here with some Hellbats and Ghosts. And now, all of a sudden, Raynor's bank doesn't look so amazing anymore since he's only at 150 supply. Before, if he had this bank, he was max. Now it's 150. And he doesn't even really have a full remax left in the bank, unless he makes only Zerglings. Now Maru can take down these 2 bases on the right side as well. Rayner going with a counter attack, I think is a very smart move. That base on the left, honestly, Maru should be very, very happy that Rayner did not take that down yet. The base on the left is 100% of Maru's economy. And it's an orbital, guys. Here we go. Rayner's going to take that down now. Maru was able to make so many Hellbats just because Rayner didn't take that down. But looking at the money now, guys, Rayner actually has a way smaller army at this point. And he can only afford to make Zerglings. There's no gas here at this point. I think this game is getting a little bit too hectic. I would love to watch it from Maru's POV, but I think he is actually just playing a little bit too fast for me now. Like, even I'm getting dizzy at this point. Does lose his 1 Thor there. That's actually a huge deal. Normally, I would tell you guys, well, the Thor is a trash can anyway. But at this point, it's probably worth a little bit more than a trash can. Now, Rayner's going in here. Does get a lot of Hellbats at the start with those Banelings. That's a good start to the trade. But the Ghosts are here. If the Ghosts get on the Ravagers, even the Raven pinching in with a bunch of other turrets as well. And I don't know, man. This game is actually getting really scary. Now, Rayner, obviously, one of the most clutch players in the game as well, does not give it up with just 1 fight. He's probably going to keep doing counterattacks. Try to get ready for that last fight. But even though the economy is insane, Maru literally is not mining a single bit of gas. Just a few minerals from these 8 poverty patches. Rayner still has a decent economy. I wouldn't call it good. I feel like Rayner pretty much has a 2-base economy at this point. 50 drones on this base. Imagine if 4 Hellions found this, actually. That would be just incredible. Oh, really good mine shot, actually, as well. Those Hellbats literally one-shot the Zerglings, by the way, with +3. So those Zerglings really do not want to go anywhere near. Now, 50 drones running away from Rayner. And let's see what Rayner has. He has 8 Roaches, 3 Ravagers, and 40 Zerglings. He's gonna morph 1 Infestor and a bunch of Banelings. Banelings is really what he needs. Without Banelings, he actually cannot really take down the Hellbats. You would think he could use the Roaches, right? But if Hellbats are tanking, Ghosts can snipe the Roaches. And then, yeah, those Hellbats, like the Lynx, are just not gonna be able to do anything. So he 100% needs the Banelings. Gonna pull his Lynx back. Like, keep in mind, Maru's economy is in shambles, but this is actually Rayner's last eco. Rayner has had so many bases, but somehow Maru actually reached his last economy. So Rayner's gonna go with the Banelings. He has a lot of tanks here. There's no Hellbats on the back here, actually, to cover these tanks. Rayner's gonna go in, kill all the tanks. The last Ghosts are going down. And Rayner actually does take the game in the end. But oh my god, I think we were very, very close here to one of the best comebacks of all time. Especially for a game at this big of a tournament. The Global Finals, $500,000 IM Katowice. Yeah, fantastic effort by Maru, but Rayner takes it. Hope you guys enjoyed the cast/analysis. Don't forget to sub and like, and I'll see you guys next time. Adios.